Alright everybody, welcome to another Ink and Paint Club review. We're going to talk about a movie from our childhood. So, if you've been living under a rock for the last week or so, Pokemon turned 20 this year.
God, I'm old.
One more year and it can drink. Sorry. So, I know Kyle and I have been playing the shit out of Pokemon Red and Blue since it got re-released to the Virtual Console this weekend.
Hell to the yes.
I'm 8 years old again. Feels good. But and in order to...
Cool, it's not like I'm here or anything.
Well, Andy, have you been playing Red and Blue on the Virtual Console?
No, because I'm not going to fucking pay for a game I already played to death.
Andy, I love pushing your buttons. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Nintendo's been resting on its laurels.
Anyway, in a cheap attempt to gain page views, we're going to talk about, in honor of Pokemon's 20th anniversary, we're going to talk about Pokemon the first movie. I'm real upfront about this. We're just doing it because it's timely.
Well, isn't that the reason you do anything?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, really.
I'm a cheap ploy for viewership.
I'm a giant whore. I mean, if you wanted me to say it, I'll just fucking say it.
Oh, well, it's better you than me.
You wish I was a whore.
Whoa.
You know it. So, I guess let's just go around, like, what was your experience seeing this film? I assume we all saw it as children.
Okay,
yes.
So I begged my parents to take me to see Pokemon movie. They bought me a ticket, and then they were like, we're not going to see the movie, enjoy your card. That's the only reason you want to see it, right? And I was like...
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was like, oh, that kind of works, I guess. But I think,
wait a minute, you got a card with the movie?
Yeah, you got the mute card.
No, that
was the second one.
Oh.
The first movie it gave out, like, Electabuzz, Pikachu, Mewtwo, and Dragonite cards.
Oh, I didn't get those. Huh.
Yeah, they're stamped.
I got robbed of a childhood.
they're stamped and they say Kids WB on it or something like that. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
But I ended up seeing the movie with friends, I guess, but I liked it at the time. Watching it now is...
Yeah, we'll get into that, how it's aged. Andy, when did you see this movie first?
I saw it, I want to say... I'd say it was the opening weekend, because despite my anti-Nintendo sentiments that I seem to have lately, even though it's mostly let's expect more from the company, I was one of those kids who fucking got hooked on Pokemon. I remember reading in Nintendo Power, they had basically a comic book version of the cartoon, where it was the stills from the cartoon before it came out. And I just got really excited. I remember copying drawings of Pikachu and Ekans and stuff, whatever I could find. And I remember making my dad drive around multiple game stores, but it was a week before it came out. I just didn't understand how that worked. So I ended up pre-ordering it. So, I mean, I was a big Pokemon fan, and I still am. I just don't really care much about the modern games.
Sure.
But I saw the movie. Of course, when the movie came out, it was a huge deal. Me and my friend, we all wanted to see it right away. And this is back in the day. Well, no, Fandango was around. I don't think Fandango was around. All I know is that's back when you had to call movie phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's how old. You know, this is back.
This is like pre-modern internet.
Well, yeah, this is when Blockbuster Video was still around.
And was relevant.
Yeah, like this is before they had like the Pokemon Stadium print pictures of your fucking Pokemon.
Right.
Wasted money on that shit. But
99 was a beautiful age.
But yeah, I just remember it was a struggle to go and see it because it was impossible to get in the theater. And I just remember one day, my friend's mom took us, just on a whim. She went to go see The Bone Collector.
Oh.
And me and my other friends, we got we went into the theater to see Pokemon, and it was exciting to see, Pokemon on the big screen, but it was an awful movie.
We'll get into that. I saw this movie. I don't know if I saw it opening day, but I know I saw it in the theaters when it came out. Looking back on it, I feel so bad for my dad.
You said that before.
I said it a lot. I probably even said this before. I feel bad because I dragged him to so many stupid movies. He had to sit through the entire Rugrats movie because of me.
It's always the example, too.
I know, because it's just like, I feel like that movie was probably the worst experience. Okay, actually, the worst thing I've probably ever done to, like, inflict my interest on my dad is that I had, you guys remember when Pokemon put out that CD with all the...
to be a master? Spelled...
To be a master, there you go.
Wait. Spelled with the number 2.
Yep.
Dot.
Letter B.
The letter B, dot. Letter A, dot. Wait, no, there was no dot. I'm sorry, to be a master, you're right.
But, my poor dad, he had all this, like, audio-visual stuff, like, hooked up in our house, so he knows how to do that kind of stuff. But I had that CD, but I didn't have a CD player that I could take, like, with me. So my poor dad, I asked him, was like, can you take this CD and put it on a tape? So basically, he had to record the CD out loud. Like, it just came through the speakers while it was transferring to a tape. But he had to sit through the entire CD by himself because I was in bed, but I could hear it in the living room.
So he got to hear such original hits, such as, what kind of Pokemon are you? How do you do the things you do?
Oh, man, I wish I could have seen his face while he was just sitting there in the living room by himself, just listening to this fucking Pokemon.
His face cupped in his hand in pure disappointment.
Trust me, I feel bad, because I remember my dad driving me around toy stores to find the Pika-Pet thing, the little Pikachu Tamagotchi. And I think my dad flat out just made fun of me to my face. And, of course, at the time, I was kind of upset, but then I thought about it. No, I had it coming.
Honestly, I would have preferred ridicule, because I think I finally broke my dad, because then, at some point, he started walking... No, because he started walking around the house making Pokemon noises at me.
Oh, weirdo.
Like, for some reason, for a fucking week, like an entire week, he just kept saying, muck. And it was like, why you keep making the muck sound?
He really wanted to say fuck, but he just couldn't.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know why he chose muck of all Pokemon to mimic, but I don't know.
I know, he really wanted to say fuck whenever he saw you, like, fuck.
Maybe.
But, he could.
But we've been talking for like 10 minutes.
Oh, it's fun.
It's fun. So the movie. Yeah. So...
Maybe I'm being hard on it, but the big draw of this movie was the fact that you got to see a Gen 2 Pokemon in the beginning.
You saw a few Gen 2 Pokemon.
I just remember seeing Donphan. That was it.
Yeah.
Okay, so... to prepare for this, I rewatched a couple scenes from the movie just to jog my memory. So, and I watched the entire... Okay, we'll just start from the beginning. We'll move through the movie. I just want to say that first battle is such a huge crock of shit.
Yeah.
Because, okay, I can buy that Bulbasaur beat Donphan. And like you're saying, Andy, it's the first time we saw Donphan, and it's the first time we saw the move Rollout.
Well, the first thing is like, fuck, I really like Donphan. I like the design, everything, but he is such a shitty thing. You can't...
Oh, wait a minute, hold on, guys. We skipped over something really big here.
What's that?
What about Pikachu's vacation?
Oh, yeah.
Pikachu goes vacation, shenanigans at the zoo.
Hey, I actually kind of don't mind that because I
love that little short.
I actually really... that's right. That's right. You were right. I forgot. It's the first time we saw another Gen 2 Pokemon. We saw Meryl.
We saw Meryl and Snubbull.
Otherwise known as Pikablue beforehand, back when rumors were a big thing before the internet. Many a rumor on the schoolyard about, did you guys hear about Pikablue? And I'm like,
you can catch him in Gen 1.
That sounds incredibly stupid, but tell me more.
You gotta use strength to move the truck?
Yeah.
Great.
Man.
Actually, I really liked the little scene transitions in, like, they'd use, like, it was like an old-time cartoon where they'd have, like, the Pokemon do something silly and it would transition the scene.
Some of them were, like, really bizarre,
I liked
though.
the Mankey one, because Mankey was one of my favorite Pokemons, where they was just that, or it was Primate, probably, just beating the crap out of each other.
That it, like, super, like, zooms in on his face.
It's
Actually,
so fitting for you, Andy.
What's up? Why is the Primate so fitting?
Because it's an angry one.
I was about to say, I just realized me yelling probably didn't help.
Pretty much.
But it's funny, actually. One of the guys who I take care of at work, he used to have a DVD player, and Pokemon, the first movie, was one of the things he would always have on there. And I'd always kind of get caught up watching, like, a little bit of it, like, man, kind of remember this.
Yeah.
Sorry I just figured we should probably talk about, because every Pokemon movie had a short, right? Most of them?
Most of them. Well, I think at the beginning, I don't know if they still do them.
I know the Entei movie had one.
Yeah, that was the one where the Pichu's running through the city, but I don't remember too much about that one.
I think Houndoom was the villain or something.
Yeah, or Houndour, or whatever.
Rosdour?
Houndour.
Rosdour.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I wanted to get back to this fucking
Sorry.
beginning battle. So this fucking guy shows up out of nowhere, he's like, Ash, I want to fight you. I'm like, all right, whatever. That's what trainers do. So I can, like I was saying, I can buy that Bulbasaur beat Donphan with Solar Beam. No problem with that. Next one was fucking Machamp versus Squirtle, and Squirtle in one hit KOs Machamp with Bubble. That is such shit.
That's what always bothered me. He had, like, the shittiest team, and somehow won all the fucking
His team is OP as shit, but I think he just doesn't want to, like, evolve them because he thinks they're too cute. But, like, the whole...
Oh, he plays Pokemon like my girlfriend.
Yeah,
Granted,
basically. He's like, oh, they're too cute to evolve.
Granted, her team could probably wail on it.
But then, like, fucking, like, the guy preempts Gen 5 by, like, 10 years by, like, trying to initiate a triple battle.
Oh, yeah. I remember that
Fucking
shit.
throws out a Pinsir, a Venomoth, and a Golem, and Pikachu one-hit KOs them with Thunder Shock, which is another crock of shit because Golem's not affected by electricity.
Yeah.
Man,
It's ground type.
JD, you sound like you're on, like, the verge of an ant.
No, I love when Pokemon breaks game logic with, like, it's like, Pikachu can beat ground types if he just tries hard enough.
Yeah, try that
like,
shit in the games.
It's just like, hey, why don't you dodge?
And I love how with the anime they have to yell dodge. It's like the Pokemon themselves can't figure out to move out of the way.
Nope,
No, man.
You have to tell them, like, dodge it. It's like, okay.
They're the subservient species here.
I love it. But yeah, then Mewtwo. So someone else explain this movie because I'm going to be all over the place if I try to.
I mean, I don't really even remember much. I just remember being really disappointed because, you know, the big thing was, you know, the big excitement here was that Mewtwo, before he became before Smash Brothers turned Mewtwo into what he is now, like, you know, basically the Akuma of that game, from what little I know of.
Good way to describe it.
Mewtwo in Smash is like, he's good if you know how to use him.
Like, I don't know. I just know people were losing their goddamn mind when he was announced for the new Smash Brothers. But,
yeah, okay.
Like, I just remember being really disappointed. I'm sorry to jump ahead, but, like, you know, they build up to this big climactic showdown between Mew and Mewtwo. And, I mean, if anyone's not familiar, Mewtwo was kind of like the Darth Vader of Pokemon. Like,
yeah.
he was a genetic experiment. He was number 150. You know, it was... Kyle, are you on fire?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Heat don't bother you. But, Mewtwo's the genetically engineered Pokemon. Fucking scary. He can talk psychically. So he was, you know, he was scary in the game because you had to, like, go through, like, all these different, like, hoops to find him and fight him and catch him. And in the movie, they build up, like, you know, he's, like, big badass, like he could wipe out everybody who counts so much, and like you expect this big fight, but you don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, like the ending scene, like spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the movie yet, but the ending scene basically involves Mew and Mewtwo fighting. Mew was number 151. The Pokemon Mewtwo was based off of, get the names, and they had this like really awesome looking Dragon Ball Z-esque battle going, and then Ash jumps in the way, and then for some reason psychic energy turns you into stone.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And then suddenly all the Pokemon there start crying, and Ash comes back to life, and...
From what I hear, that whole bit where, like, Pokemon tears can bring people back to life, I think, from what I hear, there was a line in the Japanese version of the movie that explained that.
Really?
Yeah, I think they mention it in the movie of, like, why that's a thing. But the Americans just, like, fuck it. This is for kids, I don't care.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's magic.
I don't know. I just remember, like, me and my friend being pretty bummed out, because this is, like, when Dragon Ball Z and everything was really big, so we were expecting, like, this awesome, like, Ash has to fight Mewtwo with, like, his team, and, yeah, I know Ash had, like, a crap team, so he'd probably get wiped out, but it would have been cool if, like, Mew came in and pulled, like, the typical Goku, you know.
I like the fight between Mew and Mewtwo.
It starts off really good, and then it just...
fizzles out.
Like, it just, like, it was, like, such a cop-out. It was, like, it's kind of like if Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker were fighting, and then the Emperor jumped in the middle and turned to stone, and Vader's tears brought him back to life.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's a bad example, because that would make no fucking sense. But wait, it didn't make any fucking sense in the movie, either.
Yeah.
What always bothers me, though, is that Mewtwo, even by his name, he's calling him Mew, but somehow he's numbered as 150 instead of 151.
Well, they didn't want to release Mew yet, so they couldn't have a blank spot in the Pokedex.
Yeah, wasn't that was Missing Note.
Missing Note should be a real Pokemon.
No.
Okay, one thing that did bother me in the movie, and it's such a nitpicky thing, is that why is it that
As if your complaint wasn't nitpicky.
In the movie, Mewtwo basically makes clones of all the trainers' Pokemons that are brought to his island fortress or whatever.
He used the Game Genie, but everybody.
But why is it that, like, his Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur have the weird stripey things on them, but none of the other ones do?
I love that. It was all tribal mark bullshit.
Yeah. And it made him stand out, but all the other Pokemon, they look exactly the same.
They're not cool enough.
I guess.
I really want that in the game, the stupid Pokeballs that you use. They have like eyeballs on them or something.
Yeah, the weird...
Hey, you know what?
You can catch a Pokemon inside a Pokeball. It just captures a Pokeball.
I mean, seriously, though. I mean, like, you know, Mewtwo had an island fortress, and... God, he could have been such a better villain.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think they kind of painted themselves into a corner, making a Pokemon a villain.
Yeah, I don't know if he was supposed to be like an overall villain, just kind of like a...
Like a sympathetic villain is what I...
Yeah, he was a sympathetic villain,
I mean...
which I got. Anytime I've gone back to watch this movie, now that I'm an adult,
You hate yourself a little bit more?
No, it's very hokey in the sense...
Yeah.
Like, more so than the show for some reason. And I don't blame yeah. I do. It's not... I don't blame the source material, I blame 4Kids. Because as we know, 4Kids is a blight on dubbing and children's entertainment in general. But just like all the weird fourth wall-y real-world jokes that they make in the movie that were not even remotely in the Japanese version, like... I can't help but cringe a little bit when they make the Minnesota Vikings joke.
They make a Minnesota Vikings joke?
Yeah, because like Team Rocket like dresses up like Vikings because like, oh well, we don't have any way to get to the island, so Team Rocket shows up in a Viking boat for some reason, and they're like, And Brock's like, I didn't know there were still Vikings. And Ash is like, yeah, they must be from Minnesota. I'm like, really, guys?
That's not the...
What kid is gonna understand a Minnesota Vikings reference?
You'd be surprised. That one kid in Minnesota, that made his day.
I know. Yeah. It's like anytime anyone mentions Ohio in a show.
People have dads,
there.
JD.
What?
People have dads, okay?
You know, they're
dads like sports.
You know, some really sports-obsessed dad was probably like, this Pokemon stuff isn't for queers after all.
Yeah.
Maybe that was
in the movie theater, and there was a little shout-out for him. Come on, now.
All right, fair enough. But it's stuff like that where it's just, like, very obviously, just shoehorned in there. And the fact that they get a lot of the naming wrong, several times. Like, there's a Pidgeot, but he calls it Pidgeotto. And then they show a Scyther, and they call it Alakazam. Like, how do you mess that one up?
My God, JD, you really, investigated this movie.
I mean, this is stuff like anyone who's watched the movie has pointed out before, so I'm not breaking any new territory here. But it seemed like they kind of half-assed the dub.
They're just like, nah, it sounds good. We'll go with it.
Well, I think they knew that they had a lock.
It's
a Pokemon movie.
It's Pokemon the movie. What kid in their right mind is not going to go see this, no matter how stupid it is?
Yeah, pretty much. We could just have it be someone playing the game. And, they could have trumped Let's Plays by years and really, made bank on it.
Yeah. I do like how this movie kind of set a precedent that the movies are reserved for showcasing the legendary Pokemon. Because it kind of makes it a big deal that these things are, showing up, and Ash gets to interact with them.
Ash is a fucking moron.
Ash is a moron. I don't remember what I was listening to. It might have been the Dex. But this is completely off subject of this movie. But it was an interesting theory someone told me, or I was listening to, is that. What are you laughing at?
Sorry, it was something in the Skype chat.
What are you guys doing? Anyway. Oh my God. Alright, whatever. So what I was going to say is that there's this theory that in the movie with Arceus, Ash saves Arceus from, I don't remember what happened in that movie.
God.
Yeah, he basically saves Polkagod, and and Arceus says something along the lines of he's forever indebted to Ash, or he'll always watch over him. But he does that in the past. But Ash goes back in time to save Arceus, so that retroactively means that Ash has Polkagod constantly watching him, which is why he has main character syndrome, where he can't be hurt or die or really have anything bad happen to him because Polkagod is watching after him.
That's why he doesn't age.
Exactly.
My God.
He's forever young because Jesus has blessed him with eternal youth.
Wait a minute, that's a fan theory that actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I like it.
What the hell does that mean?
It works retroactively. It makes it makes sense for why Ash always meets these legendary Pokemon, because he's blessed, and Arceus is making it so that he has all these really grand adventures and shit.
You gotta meet my friend Darkrai.
Hey.
Anyway, back to the
legendary
movie.
Birds. That's about. Oh, I know the legendary dogs too.
The Doge.
I hate that shit so much. They're so obviously cats. The fucking saber-tooth tiger.
I don't know, man. Entei looked like a dog.
He looks like a food dog, like a lion.
A food dog.
Yeah, a food dog. I don't know if that's actual dog or not.
I do.
I thought it was a lion, a cheetah, and a saber-tooth tiger.
Sure.
and yes, food dogs are actually lions.
You're talking about making up animals.
Well, the legendaries are always based on stupid shit like the Three Musketeers and.
Hey, I liked Articuno.
Getting back to the movie here.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, we're talking about a movie.
We are talking about a movie.
Son of...
Yeah, I forgot.
I will say that even now, I do enjoy the Pokemon movies, and especially this one, because I like how the animation is very much a step up from the show.
I didn't like that Nurse Joy was like a villain in the movie.
She wasn't really a...
Oh, yeah, didn't she get mind controlled?
Participant.
Yeah, well, she was wearing like a... Wasn't she wearing like a trench coat and shit or something?
She was a weird nun outfit or something.
Yeah, she was wearing like a
That's
Russian
right.
hat.
I love that. That was so cool.
I was
But
like,
that's what always... Oh, go on.
I was just like, all right, this is getting kind of good. Island Fortress, psychic powers, all right. Crying, what?
It always bothered me. I don't know, because, like, you get something like Yellow where it's all, oh, it's based on the anime. But I always wanted...
anime.
I always wanted that Mewtwo costume, because I think that's so fucking cool. Whatever they were using, where he's all Power Rangered out.
Well, he has his battle armor on?
Yeah, that shit was so awesome. And I always wanted that to be in the game, but...
Yeah.
Well, then you'd have to be the main character at all times. My God, your microwave is angry.
Yeah.
I will say that I really like the scene where like Mewtwo finally like reveals himself, and then all the trainers just start throwing shit at him, and he's just like batting people away. It's like, no, fuck you.
It was me all along.
Well, no, it's like he's like, I'm here to take all your Pokemon. And they're like, fuck you, you are. And they just like have all their Pokemon attack, and Mewtwo just does not give a shit.
Yeah, I think that's why I just kind of got like kind of bummed out. Cause I don't know, I really liked Mewtwo as a villain because he had every reason to be angry at humanity.
Yeah.
I just kind of wish we could have got like.
I don't think the reason to be angry at humanity. He has a reason to be angry at Giovanni.
Well,
but
humanity.
Giovanni is humanity.
Giovanni is us all.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest, I barely am remembering the plot to this movie. I do know I owned the VHS though.
Yeah, they re-released it on Blu-ray recently.
Jesus.
Target has it steelbooked.
I don't like the cover that they put on. It's such generic, like stock art. I wish they would have put like the old box art on it.
Yeah, the old box art was actually pretty legit.
Yeah.
I liked it, man.
Yeah.
Now, did they have a Pokédex entry for Mewtwo? Did he fucking lift his Pokédex out?
I think he was too busy trying not to die.
Because it always bothers me with something like that, where it's like man-made, and then something's gonna automatically know what it is.
How the fuck did they have a Pokedex entry for that?
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. Like, wait a minute.
First time you fucking saw it.
This thing just got made now. Professor Oak is from the future.
The Pokedex concept kind of doesn't make a lot of sense when you think too hard about it.
I'll be damned if it didn't make a good toy, though.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
The gold and silver one is worth a fuckload of money if you have it.
I bet it is.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Oh. I will say, for this movie's credit, and maybe it's just my own nostalgia or whatever, but like as soon as like that opening battle and they started playing like the remix version of the theme song, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got pumped.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's got its nostalgic value.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being overly harsh on it just because I just remember that was like my first experience, I think, where hype, like, you know, we were all hyped about it, and I just remember me and my friend leaving the theater like, yeah, it was alright. I mean, up until the end.
I was still young enough where it was like, that was like the greatest fucking movie I'd ever seen in my life.
It was really strange that we were like nitpicky about it. I was like, what have we become?
Well, Andy, you had to be like at least like 12 when you saw it, right?
Yeah, I was a very astute 12-year-old when it came to movies.
Okay.
Very harsh about my critiques.
Oh, like, I can believe more that you would have a more critical analysis of a Pokemon movie than, you know, me when I was 8.
Swear to God, if Tumblr was around, I would have been that guy on the internet like, it's not that good, and then I would have been exiled.
I felt the same way about the Simpsons movie. I thought it was the greatest fucking thing ever when it came out. Funny as fuck, and then rewatching it, you're like, This is so bad. This is fucking terrible.
I don't think it's terrible, but it definitely had, like, I think they kind of it really drove home the point for me with the Simpsons movie that, you know what? I like the supporting characters more than I actually like the Simpsons themselves.
Yeah.
It's kind of an eerie thing with Pokemon. Like, I realized, I really didn't care much about Ash. Brock and Misty really didn't do anything in that movie.
Yeah, Brock and Misty were just kind of there to be there.
Like, I think they did the same thing, because I remember with the second Pokemon movie, it was, like, a big deal because Weird Al voiced Casey, didn't he?
No, Weird Al just had a song on the soundtrack.
Okay, I thought they made, because everyone's saying, like, yeah, Weird Al voices Casey, and I'm like, Casey had, like, one line of dialogue in the entire movie.
Tracy,
sorry.
Tracy has the same voice actor as Giovanni.
That's weird.
Because
Tracy's kind of a wiener.
Tracy is a wiener. Nobody likes him.
Yeah, that's why he was the Poochie.
But I will say that the soundtrack to this movie is, like, almost unrelated to the movie itself.
It doesn't hold a candle to the Digimon movie soundtrack.
No, Digimon soundtrack is rad as hell.
Actually, I'm not being sarcastic. I was really shocked.
No, man, it's got less than Jake and the Mighty Boss tones on it.
I dug that out. I was on YouTube for some reason. I was looking up, like, oh yeah, Digimon actually, like, the show had some good music.
I like that they had kids in America.
Yeah, the lit version. Not lit. No, 7. Wait, no.
Now, one thing that Digimon loses millions of points, I'm sorry, was Angela Anaconda.
And I hate any version. Like, I can't watch Digimon the movie, like the English dub, because, my God, it's so bad. But I hate it even more the fact that you can't get that version of the movie without the fucking Angela Anaconda short before it. Like, it's just in the film.
You guys didn't like the creepy... I didn't see Digimon the movie, actually. I
saw it in theaters.
I meant to, because I was really excited about it, and I just never got around to doing it. I think I was kind of petering out. But, my God, Angela Anaconda was one of the most, like, creepy...
That's horrifying.
Like, the way... I remember that premiered on Kablam, and then I was shocked that it actually got a series.
I like Life with Loopy better.
Yeah, Life with Loopy didn't give me nearly as many nightmares. It still gave me some nightmares, but not, like, constant screaming nightmares.
Oh, God.
This has been a brief foray into my psyche.
But, like I was saying, the soundtrack to Pokemon, the first movie, it's weird because it's full with, like, the most generic late 90s pop music that you could ever put. And, like... It
was the 90s.
I know, but it's like 90% of the songs on there that aren't the Pokemon remix theme song, and then, like, the last one where they played while all the Pokemon were fighting each other. None of those songs, like, correlate to the movie at all.
Was the Poke Rap on the soundtrack?
I don't think so.
That was on To Be a Master. I thought that was the soundtrack, to be honest.
I did too.
Oh, actually, there's actually this funny thing, and it's this stupid little story between me and my sister, is that I had Pokemon the first movie soundtrack on cassette tape. My sister stole that from me and said, you can have this back when you buy me the CD to the movie. I'm like, motherfucker, I am 8 years old. Where do you think I'm going to get the money to buy a CD?
Like selling lemonade like any other child would?
Long story short, I ended up stealing a CD from an old friend or whatever. I stole his CD copy of it. Never gave it to my sister. I just kept it.
What a jag-off.
And the thing is, it was so scratched to hell that it only plays out like the first 6 tracks before it just glitches out.
That's actually kind of impressive. It plays the first 6 tracks.
Yeah, I think I actually still have it somewhere.
Fucking karma's a bitch, ain't it?
It is a bitch.
Boom.
Kyle,
take no prisoners.
Do you guys have anything else you want to say about this movie before we wrap it up?
I don't know.
If I were to... Go on.
Sorry, no, go on, Kyle.
If I were to choose the first movie with the first 3, I would probably pick the first one.
I'm a fan of Pokemon 2000, to be honest. But
back when they would call things 2000.
Did Lugia Did Lugia speak?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
And wasn't Articuno? Because the second one was about the legendary birds, right?
It sure was. It was rad as hell.
I remember. That's where you got the Mew card.
It had Slowking.
It was Slowking. He wanted pants.
I mean, can you blame him?
And Weird Al was on the soundtrack. What's not to love?
I thought
he did Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean that's Weird Al's wheelhouse. Man plays a mean accordion.
Yeah. Well, I will just say this as just a final thoughts on Pokemon, the first movie. It's still fun going back to it, but it has not aged as well as you would like to think it has. It's corny, it's goofy, there are plot holes everywhere.
If you want a good movie with Mewtwo in it, watch the Origins movie.
That, they didn't put it.
Oh, actually, that was on the VHS, and it was good.
Yeah.
Like, I actually got more excited. Like, I think that's one of the main reasons, like, one of the redeeming qualities of the VHS was the origin of Mewtwo.
No, I mean the red and green Origins.
Oh, watch Pokemon Origins?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
It's brutal as fuck hearing Charmander scream bloody murder.
Oh, God.
Okay.
But, yeah, if you want to watch some Pokemon and just turn your brain off for an hour and a half, rewatch Pokemon, the first movie. It's,
Yay.
Yay. Well, I guess all I could say is, happy anniversary, Pokemon. Congrats on making it 20 years.
Can't wait to see what the next game brings. It's already bringing some ridiculous-looking Pokemon already. It
seriously baffles me that there are children young enough that X and Y is their first Pokemon game.
Yeah.
And that I legit want to sit a small child down, like an 8-year-old nowadays. I want to give them Gen 1 and just see how long it takes before they start bitching about how it's so simple.
Make a Fine Brothers video. Kids react.
Careful.
Kids react to Pokemon.
Yeah, let's not risk it. We don't want to get sued.
Might want to fucking not use their name. We might have to pay for it.
Meh. I can't pay for things. I ain't got any money. Alright, guys. Well, thanks again for listening to this. If you like this, please share it with your friends, and head on over to our Facebook page, give us a like there, and we post animation news and such every single day. So, interact with us on there. All the links to that are in the description. All our social media pages on there if you'd like to follow us individually. And, yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to go to bed now. So.
Yeah, me too, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to wonder what kind of Pokemon am I.
What kind of Pokemon are you? What kind of things do you do? I was going to start spoken word the entire song, but then I forgot. I don't remember all the lyrics.
Yeah, it kind of goes off in a weird direction.
You should ask your dad. He would probably know.
Yeah, your dad will just...
I'll have to make What Pokemon sounds do you remember?
Fuck.
Alright, thanks everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Alright, everybody.
She teaches me, yeah.